As promised, Kanye is joining us to talk about a lot of things, to talk about the tweet over the weekend, about the 13th Amendment, to talk about what happened backstage with SNL, to talk about the hat, to talk about Chicago. So why don't we start with what happened behind the scenes at SNL? You said on social media that, first of all, welcome to TMZ Live, appreciate it. You said on social media that you were bullied. What happened?
You know, it wasn't by anyone from the SNL staff. They just tried to pull a little move where they said, well, the staff won't come up on the song, we'll do it separately. I felt that that had to do with people in the staff not wanting to be on stage with me because I had the hat on. The bullying came from just people around me, close to me in my circle, telling me, you know, why I shouldn't be wearing the hat. So it really, like, it put my energy in more of a reactionary place, because a lot of times when people bully you, you get reactionary. You know, it's like, for me, I've got the right to wear what I want. That's what's so dope about this country. It's a free country. I got the right to think what I want. I have the right to feel what I want, and I will not be bullied because I do what I feel. Yeah. So I wanted to clarify that it was not SNL, it was not Lauren. Now, Lauren has promised me to host this year, and I do feel a bit slighted that I have not hosted SNL, because it's going to be lit. It's gonna be just, you know, we did the little pump thing. I feel that I'm missing my calling a little bit. I'm so funny, you know. It's just, see.
No, you are. Listen, I know you well enough. You were a funny guy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the SNL staff that did it.
It was not the SNL staff. It was my staff.
So let's talk about the tweet, because this kind of came like a thunderbolt about repealing the 13th Amendment. You said you needed some time to think about this, to kind of flesh it out. What are you saying?
Well, I never said I need time, because time is something that people use to control people. Like, they use the idea of perception. We often, I'll take ownership, use the idea of perception, we use the idea of money, and we use the idea of time to control people's energy. And energy is infinite. So don't put too much energy into that because you don't have the time. Don't put energy in that because you don't have the money. People won't back it up. You know, I was telling my dad that, you know, I was running for office 2024, and he's like, it's going to cost a lot of money. I said, Dad, we're going to have all the money in the world as soon as I run. But let me check, because one of the things I'm going to do when I run is I'm not going to give answers off the cuff. I'm going to talk to experts.
But yet, you kind of set the ball in motion by saying you thought it might be a good idea to abolish the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude with the exception of prisons. So it's a very important statement that a lot of people don't understand. So help clarify why you decided to say it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna read to you something that my friend GLC from Chicago wrote for me, because he puts a lot of energy into understanding historical facts. So it put in 1865, and what I want to say is abolish. Abolish was the wrong language. I misspoke by saying abolish. Amend is the right language. And what's awesome, I don't say dope because it's there's power in words. So lovely. What's beautiful about our Constitution is we can amend it, right? So in 1865, the 13th Amendment stated that no man is destined to slavery or involuntary servitude unless convicted of a crime. This translates to, in order to make a freed man a slave, all you have to do is convict them of a crime.
So, in other words, what you're saying is they carve out prison for involuntary servitude, and you could use prison as a pretext to bring involuntary servitude back. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it has. You know, there's people getting paid 8 cents a week working for companies, you know, that are privately owned, and You know, a lot of them are first-time offenders. A lot of them are non-violent crimes. And then also we deal with, you know, we're not dealing with the mental health and the therapy, because I'm going to say that, you know, I stand on the majority of people that are in prison are there due to a reaction to a situation that they're in, a reaction to not having understanding of how to create industry because their dad didn't have a business, so they didn't know how to make money, or not having access to currently legalized forms of industry. Also being brainwashed to, you know, feel like they're taking a side, red or blue, a gang side of this. This is my block, a block that they don't even own, taking a side. And then that gets promoted in the music, and then the music is not even owned by the people that are saying these things. And then the next thing you know, you get all of these, you get people in jail. You have over 2 million, you know, I actually say we need to define a name for our culture. But I love, you know, you can't call Jews a race. It's a Jewish person say it's not a race. That's what people have told me, right? You agree with that?
I would.
But for us, we're called a race, right? But a race is a myth because we're one race, the human race.
But I want to back you up. You said you misspoke, and you are talking about changing the 13th Amendment. Amending it to what? So that people cannot be forced to work in prison? What are you talking about?
There should be a group, a modern day group of respected, super knowledgeable people, not me as a, you know, celebrity with an opinion. There should be a group of super knowledgeable people that have, that come from all cultures, that then make the amendments on our Constitution. I didn't say modern, I didn't say new, because that notes a specific time, and time is used to control us and control our energy. So there needs to be people who look like the people who are being spoke about. You know, let me just stop you. No, never stop me.
But
you can never stop me.
But you affirmatively raised.
I will keep going.
Kanye, you affirmatively raised it. I'm trying to understand, are you focusing in on the prison part of the 13th Amendment? Is that, I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Okay, what I'm saying is, in order to come up with the solution to this complicated issue, to get a soundbite from me will only cause some type of headline. So the soundbite that I'm going to give you and the headline that I'm going to give you is, we need people to amend the 13th Amendment that look like the people that the 13th Amendment are talking about.
But what's deficient about it, as in your view?
What's deficient about it is the principles that wrote the Constitution were Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Thomas Paine, and John Adams.
But not the 13th Amendment, because that was really driven by Abraham Lincoln, which was long after.
All white men. Okay, the thing is, you're going to pull me into a place. This is what liberals often do for Donald Trump, and they try to say, you missed this fact. You said that there were 800,000 slaves in the 1800s. But there were 3.7 million slaves in the 1800s. But what I was saying, at a single time, they were 800,000. And now there's 2 million. And for lack of a knowledgeable, thought out, better term, we'll say black or we'll say African American, because I don't know where Africa America is. I saw Latin America. I've never seen an Africa America. But for now, until we decide what we will call our culture, we'll call ourselves African American or black for now. And right now, there's 2 million, over 2 million black, what we're called African Americans in prison. A lot for nonviolent crimes, a lot for first-time offenses, and 80-90% because they've been brainwashed and programmed to pick up a gun because that's what's hard, to do an illegal activity because that's what's hard, to go and, you know, beat somebody up and kill them because they got excited or over emotion. That's why I said we don't need to be excited. People use us excitement like this country and the world has, up to this point, been ran by fear and not by love. So you get so afraid that somebody's gonna look at you like a punk, afraid that blah, 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 all, you know. That's the end of my point right there. I'm not gonna run off.
Okay, look, let's take a quick break. When we come back, one of the things I want to talk to you about is what you're doing in Chicago. You're getting a lot of praise for that. And the hat.
Yeah.
Entree to Chicago has really been met with a lot of praise by people in that community. I mean, they are happy you're there.
And I'm so happy to be there. And I'm really, you know, I felt good about going back to Chicago, and now I'm able to apply all of this brilliance to my city where I grew up. So all of this brilliance that I applied to making all these albums, and the brilliance that I applied to making these sneakers and making the second fastest growing company in history, that our last valuation was $2.2 billion, and we do that off of 4 items. Now we can apply it to Chicago. So what I've been doing is, I haven't met with Rom yet. I met with Rom's right-hand man, Michael Sachs. Amazing, amazing, dedicated guy. I've met with Ken Griffin, who connected me with Michael Sachs. Ken Griffin is the richest man in Chicago. I met with the head of the Chicago Public Schools. I met with the president, the president of Chicago State University, where my mom was the first black female instructor. And we're working on this school. It was at 8,000 in enrollment about 6 years ago, and now we're at 3,000. So we're going to raise the enrollment, and we're going to apply curriculums that relate to where we exist now. You know, we can go to the extremes of, you know, not extremes, but we can add in, you know, aquaponics, astrophysics. We're putting the first Donda office at a 53,000 square foot warehouse that's abandoned, that's on the campus, that my mom used to take me to for preschool. So that's going to be the Donda office. One of our projects that we're working on is flying cars, or you could say flying drones, or you could say, you know, drones that you can put humans in.
Right.
And I tweeted this billboard, Chicago, home of the flying cars.
Look, I got to tell you, I went to law school in the South Side, and I feel passion for Chicago, and what you're doing is great, and I loved watching the crowd cheer you on when you kind of announced that you were going to be there for a long time. But
I gotta interject, because the flying cars are so, like, it's so out there that we gotta get to the ground of dealing with violence, right? So I met with Big U yesterday. That his neighborhood is Crenshaw, and he has a program that takes, you know, kids that society might have stopped caring about, and he cares about them. I saw him wearing a lot of Adidas, and I said, does Adidas give you these clothes? And my first mindset was, and what I'm gonna get to with that is Big U has brought down the gang violence with his programs, and also Jim Brown has a curriculum called Amir I Can, and I met with Rockhead and 2 of the other brothers from Jim Brown's organization back to back. And these curriculums, also Larry Hoover created a curriculum also. So these different curriculums from Big U, from Jim Brown, from Hoover, these curriculums are things that people in the in that community respect, love, and will listen to, because these people have been through the same thing that they're going through. So I was talking to Big U and all these kids out on Adidas. I said, does Adidas send you these clothes? And my first thought was, let's have Adidas give some free clothes. But then I said, wait a second, these clothes are going to be manufactured in China or manufactured overseas. So as we're making America great again, we need to manufacture our clothes here so that we can provide jobs. And you know, when you're buying some clothes, that it's feeding your community.
Can I get to that since you raised the issue with the hat?
Yeah, I just have about 2 more minutes what I'm talking about, because I want people in Chicago to understand that I'm going down and sitting and asking Big U, how did you take down the violence in your neighborhood, and Big U got family in Chicago also, so how do we apply that to what we're doing in Chicago? And the thing is, this is the beginning of what will be a snowball effect of love, innovation, and solutions. So what I'm saying is, I asked for the black community. I asked for my hometown, Chicago. You know, I am a child prodigy. And now I'm putting this mind into this. So when my beats first started, they weren't always the best beats in the world. And when I first started rapping, it wasn't always the best raps in the world. So what I'm saying right now, it's gonna look like, you know, you see an early Snoop Dogg video, he's just standing there. You know he's a god, but he hasn't become the Snoop Dogg yet. So it's like you see me here, and I'm talking to you, and you guys already see growth from our last interview to this interview. So I'm saying we're going to grow together. I'm going to ask the questions, and we're going to apply it, and we're going to heal the city. We don't need to just help. We're going to heal the city. I'm meeting with Dan Gilbert tomorrow, who's healing Detroit and healing Cleveland. And I'm gonna it's not my place, but just to make it yay, I feel like LeBron really needs to be in Cleveland. And that ain't my place, and I'm sorry, Mav and LeBron, for saying I'm not speaking out of place, but I feel like LeBron needs to be in Cleveland, Ye needs to be in Chicago, Big U needs to be in Crenshaw, creating factories where his kids, that he looks after 99% of the time when he's not with his own kids, can learn trades, crafts, all the way from you know, bonding a shirt together to STEMs, I think was a term that he used. And what does STEM stand for, Sakai?
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
We are going to take a quick break. It's undeniably great and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And you are really, you are connecting to an underserved community. A lot of the African-American community there is in trouble, and you're there to help.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for free speech, but when you wear that hat, which is a symbol of Donald Trump, I don't understand why that isn't a mixed message, because Donald Trump has not been a friend of the black community, and in many ways has done things that a lot of people consider racist, calling Maxine Waters dumb, calling Don Lemon dumb, calling LeBron dumb, calling Obama dumb, talking about countries, and on and on. You know, at a point, I get the free speech issue, but doesn't that work against what you're trying to do?
Well, my culture definitely is hip-hop, you know, because that's something that we made up. Now, Russell Simmons, Dad, what's good? Thank you for being here. So my culture is hip-hop, right? And hip-hop, we could take the word, we could take the word bitch. We can make anything that someone, you know, considers to be negative and make it positive. Energy, you can take it and make it positive.
How do you make Donald Trump's statements positive when he talks about, you know, embracing white nationalists, embracing people like David Duke, coming down on Colin Kaepernick, saying these sons of bitches should be fired? I don't see he's done anything good for the black community, and frankly, nothing but harm. I don't understand how it's not a mixed message.
Well, do you feel people can grow?
Yes.
For someone to grow, they need to know that they got love, that someone loves and someone is leading with love, or a group of people are leading with love. There's no way to start a dialogue with you. That's not how you lead with love.
But he's been on this path for years now, where people have criticized it, and he has just amped it up. So at a point,
Yes.
don't you say,
You know what I'm
here's who
saying?
he is?
No. No. What are you saying? What is it about? Yeah. So with love, you could, people never are just at a place where you say, excuse me, the guy in the white shirt, I'd like her to move to the side because I'm feeling this lady's energy over here. And she's been channeling power and giving me strength in this interview, you know, the entire time. So I need to have this channel connected to her. She's a beacon of strength for me in this interview.
You want me to repeat?
No.
Well, why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to
we're not going to Jimmy Kimmel the situation.
No, we're going to come right back.
No, we're not going to come right back.
Okay.
We're not going to Jimmy Kimmel the situation.
Fair enough.
We're going to give me time to think.
Okay. Fair enough.
You asked me a serious question, and I'm going to take some time to think about my answer. I'm going to use time to my advantage in this situation. Now repeat the question.
That Donald Trump has been on a path that has been unrelenting, and if anything, he has amped up feelings that seem by many to be racist, that he has not done anything good for the black.
You're not giving a question, you're giving opinions.
Well, no, but the question is, you had said that people have the ability to grow, and what I'm saying is, at a point...
Yeah, what you're saying. So now I'm waiting for a question for me.
My point is, at a point...
Yeah, that's your point.
Do you give up on them growing?
No, we're not making a point. You're going to ask me a question.
Do you give up on somebody growing when they are unrelenting at a point where you say they are who they are?
And I love it. Now you asked me the perfect question. You set me up to win. We never give up on anyone. We never give up on anyone. Now let me even make that more positive. We move forward. We give love. We keep going. We keep having the conversation until the conversation turns to love. We keep going. I've been calling Colin this morning, reaching him so I can bring Colin to the White House and we can remove that sons of bitches statement and we can be on the same page.
Do you think, or do you fear that
the thing is, fear keeps you protected, but I don't move in fear. I move in bravery. I move with courage.
Do you think in the process of trying to change Donald Trump, he can do a lot of damage to the African-American community, to the gay community, to women? Do you think that is a real possibility, that he could do serious damage by the time he's gone?
The universe is on our side, and things will be better.
That was a good end. That was actually a good end to me. I really do. And again, having lived in Chicago, I'm inspired by the work you're doing there. I really mean it.
I appreciate you, Harvey. Thank you so much. We got love.
Pardon me? Oh, one more thing. I do have one other thing.
Just give me a quick feedback. We'll be right back.
Okay. Hold on one second. So you said the album was coming out on Saturday. It didn't come out. What happened?
I didn't finish it. A person from my management staff, from our management staff, had suggested, because the album is so good, it's my, I've started incorporating like sounds that you've never heard before, and pushing and having like, concepts that people don't, talk about. We have concepts talking about, body shaming and, women being looked down upon for how many people that they slept with. And, it's just a full Ye album, and those 5 albums that I dropped earlier were like superhero rehabilitation, and now the alien Ye is like fully back in mode, off of medication, working out, breathing as much fresh air as possible, thinking, doing, being himself, and when I say being myself, that doesn't mean I'm being Donald Trump. It means I'm being me, and I'm punk. And I can wear whatever I want because I'm a god. And there's nothing that I could wear this t-shirt. This don't make me. This is the way I look at this time on this planet. Other times, maybe had a robe on. Next time, maybe it's like a full electrical suit, and we just have just our chakras here, and everything else is mechanical. So we're like running at like 1,000, miles per whatever that is. So this is the type of energy that we're putting into the album. So we're going to Africa in 2 weeks to record, so that I can get, I felt this energy when I was in Chicago. I felt the roots, but we have to go to what is known as Africa. I just need to go and even find out what it's really called, and just grab the soil and cook food, 5 meals a day, so the metabolism stays up, and have my kids in the studio and have the mic in the open so you can hear, nature while we're recording. And so we're going to bring out the album on what is known as Black Friday, and which is November 23rd. And I'm so happy about what's happening. Just to give the people the full Ye. Why? Because a lot of people say there hasn't been albums as good as Watch the Throne and Dark Fantasy and 808 since that time, right? So it's a lot of transitions that I've gone through in my life, like, getting comfortable with transitioning from being this crazy rapper to a dad, and finding the inspiration in my daughter and seeing myself in her, and her reminding me of me. Now for my daughter, like, she really, makes me see me. When she just acts out, she just like, and I mean, acting out she expresses herself.
I saw her walk down the runway at the fashion show.
Yeah.
She's pretty fierce.
Yeah, she loves Michael Jackson. So we just need more time to have fun with things. I was talking to Steven Spielberg, and he said, we need to stop saying, I have to do things, and say, well, I get to do things. We have to look at the positivity of what's happening in the universe right now and flow with our gut and get out of our head. We get too heady. We as opposed to just following the guts. Like, everyone told me don't do TMZ, and I'm at TMZ. It's my gut feeling to be here. Another thing is saying, people say, oh, that's hard. Oh, that's going to be so much work. This is a negative idea. When people say, oh, this is hard, this is the hard part, I like to say, that's the fun part. That's the game, this video game called life. There's 2 buttons that you hit, the love button or the fear button. The fear button would have had me not here right now. The love button is because, and I know you haven't said it to me yet, but you will say it, is I love you, Harvey. I love you. I love you. We love you. It's even better because we is better than I. Now, can I get a bit of energy from here? Do we love Harvey? Can we say we love Harvey? No, not just that. Can we say we love Harvey?
We love Harvey.
Yeah, we love.
3/4 of the people said nothing.
No, just for me, would it be okay for everyone just to say we love? Just period. We love.
We love.
Wait, can you say it? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna start to syncopate it and do it at a vibration and energy, because that's where the universe communicates. Vibration, energy, and frequency. And see if y'all can. And I need to see y'all get on this energy. We love. 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 Okay, that's a good. That's good for now.
Okay, yeah. You are You are one of the more interesting people I've ever met in my life. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. And good luck in Chicago, really.
I mean,
no, and I'm not professing love because I'm interviewing you, but at the same time, I'm inspired by what you're doing in Chicago.
Is there something you love? Is there something you love about me?
Yes, I would love it, Kanye, if you would not wear that hat. It would make me and a lot of other people feel better. In fact, why don't we say, please take off the hat, Kanye? How's that?
It's not good.
And I won't do it. Because you have a right to wear it.
Exactly. First Amendment, baby. First Amendment. First Amendment.
I have a right to express my view on it.
Yes, but it's power versus force.
No, it's not force. I'm not forcing anything. You have an absolute right to wear that hat. I will respect that. I have a problem with what it stands for.
Well, it doesn't stand for that for me. So if you listen to hip-hop and you don't like the word bitch, and they saying it and embracing like this is my bitch, well, obviously possessive is not good anyway. But if you don't like hip-hop, then don't listen to hip-hop.
Then fair to say the hat does not represent your support of Donald Trump.
First of all is, I am American, and I support and give my ideas and support and brilliance to whoever ends up in office. That's my stance as an American. I support our president. Bottom line, no matter who they are. As an American, I support our president. Now, I already told you what this represents for me. This represents y'all can't bully me. Because look at me. I was a child prodigy. I was age 5 in art school. 7th grade, coding, making video games. Age 14, selling beats. Age 17, scholarship to the Art Institute of Chicago, the American Academy of Art. Do you feel that prodigies and child prodigies get bullied sometimes in their life by big bad, And what I'm trying to say is, y'all can't bully me because you can't tell me what to do, because that's what people used to do. They would snatch your hat off. You have a starter cap, and like a gangbanger come up and try to rip your hat off. And ain't nobody ripping my hat off again. So that's what it represents to me. It also represents for me masculine energy. It's like you could say what you want, good or bad, but I know that the blacks being Democrats and not being Republicans is based off the welfare system that says we will give you more money if you have kids in your home than if you have masculine energy in your home and leadership.
That's not a fair representation of the African American community, that they're voting Democrat to get more welfare. That paints things with an entirely big brush.
Okay, that was super. Well, no, why can't I talk about it though?
Because you're not informed.
I'm not informed enough to talk about that. But we can get more information about it. That's too big of a brush. But what I will say is it true that blacks used to be Republican?
Well, Republicans used to be
The majority of blacks used to be Republican.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
So Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. So now, let me pose the question that we can then have our scholars chime in on. What was the reason that blacks, the majority of blacks, went from being Republican to being Democrats? I put a theory out there. That was a reason that I had heard and felt. That was my singular opinion. Let's have the scholars come in and have not a debate, but a dialogue about why the black community went from being majority Republican to the majority Democrat. Would you? You guys agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I think we got it. I think we got it. Kanye, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time. And we're going to watch the performance.
Yes.